His heart raced. Would they believe him? Would they let him help? The courtroom hung in a fragile silence, everyone holding their breath. "All right," said the judge, reluctantly relenting. "Ethan, what do you remember? What do you think happened on that night?" Ethan swallowed hard, the memories flooding back, the way Officer Daniels had looked when he delivered the news, the blood on his uniform, the anger in his mother's eyes as she spoke of whistleblowers before the crash. "My mom told me she was onto something. She said there were bad people doing bad things and that if she didn't come home, I should tell someone I trusted." With every word, the weight of scrutiny shifted to Officer Daniels. Ethan's pulse quickened as he continued, "I found her notebook. After she died, I just thought it was drawings, but I saw the name. It was written down, a name she mentioned to me once." "What name?" the judge pressed, leaning forward now, engrossed in the growing revelation. "Benjamin Hart," he whispered, the name sending ripples of recognition through the crowd. Eyes widened, people turned to share glances, and some even gasped. He's a politician. Ethan saw the way people shifted, the name ricocheted through the courtroom like a bullet. She said he was involved in everything that was happening. Money going missing, drugs, all of it. Officer Daniels exploded from his chair, hands raised in a desperate plea. "Don't listen to him. It's just a child, he doesn't know what he's saying." But his fright had a hollow ring as uncertainty rippled through his voice. "No," Ethan argued, feeling the surge of everything he had been holding back. "He was at the gas station that night. I saw him." "You're grasping at straws." Daniels shot back, voice thick with anger and something else, fear. It was visible in the way he gripped the edge of the table as if it were his last refuge. The judge pounded her gavel again, but the courtroom was lost in speculation. "Order," she commanded, but it seemed to fall flat against the weight of Ethan's accusations. The older man stepped forward again. "Your Honor, if Benjamin Hart is involved, we must investigate. This goes beyond a mere murder case, this is about a system of corruption within our city, and Ethan is at the center. He could be the connection we've been missing." "Enough," the judge said, grounding her authority in the whirlwind. "We'll adjourn for the day, but I want all evidence and testimonies reviewed. It's clear we have more than just a simple case of misfortune." As the chaos began to settle, a hush fell over Ethan. His heart pounded with an understanding of the weight he had unwittingly placed on his small shoulders. They were far from finished. The battle for truth was only just beginning. Walking out of the courtroom, the older man caught Ethan's gaze. "You did well, kid. We've only scratched the surface, but it's a start." "Will they believe us?" Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Believe me, they don't have a choice now," the man replied, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. "But we need to move quickly. If Hart gets wind of this, it could get dangerous." Ethan felt a shiver course through him, but alongside that fear was a fierce resolve blooming in his chest. He had faced Officer Daniels, exposed his betrayal, and now he was learning it wasn't just about one person. It was about an entire system that needed to be dismantled, and somehow, he was tangled in the center of it all. Stepping out into the afternoon light, a storm of emotions churned within him. As he walked beside his grandmother, who had come to support him, Ethan knew they were about to uncover secrets that could shake the foundations of their town. But as slow as the path ahead seemed, one thing was certain, he wouldn't back down. He would find the truth for his mother, no matter the cost. The air outside the courtroom buzzed with anxiety, crowds milling about, reporters jostling for interviews, but Ethan's focus was razor-sharp. He felt the weight of his mother's memory on his shoulders as he stepped into the throng, essences of determination and fear combining in his gut. "Ethan, you've got guts, kid." The comment came from his grandmother, her voice laced with pride as she caught up with him. Yet, all he could think about was the name Benjamin Hart and the ominous shadow it cast on the town. "I know we need to move fast," Ethan said, urgency creeping into his voice. "If Daniels was afraid, Hart's power runs deeper than anyone realizes. We've got to find evidence, something incriminating." His grandmother's eyes widened. "How do you plan to do that?" He looked at her, steeling himself. "We start with what I saw that night." Their next steps took them to the gas station, the site of his pivotal memory. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as they entered, the smell of gasoline and chips hanging heavy in the air. Ethan's heart raced in anticipation. The security footage. It might still be there. "Let's ask," his grandmother urged, both with determination and apprehension. Ethan approached the cashier, an older woman with tired eyes, and summoned courage. "Do you have the security footage from last week, specifically the night my mom died?" The cashier furrowed her brow. That's a big request, kid. Boss usually doesn't allow footage to be released without a police request. I need it, Ethan pressed, the urgency pumping adrenaline through him. It could help find who killed her. Her gaze softened, and a momentary flicker of empathy passed across her features. All right, but I'll need you to come back tomorrow. I can't just hand it over now. Have your mother's case report on you. Thanks, he whispered, a plan forming in his mind. Casting nervous glances over his shoulder as they stepped back outside, Ethan felt the shadows loom closer. What if Hart or Daniels caught wind of what they were doing? They had to act quickly, and stealthily. Tonight, Ethan said firmly, we'll get into the police station. I can't wait for a response. There might be more clues, records, anything they keep on file. Are you insane? His grandmother gasped, a mix of disbelief and caution lacing her words. That's dangerous. I know. But if we don't do it now, it could slip away, just like my mom. She wouldn't let this go. The night turned dark, heavy clouds hanging low, echoing their uncertainty. As they stealthily approached the police station, Ethan's heart raced, adrenaline surging through him. They crept around the back, sticking to the shadows. Just a quick look, Ethan murmured, gripping the rusty doorknob. It creaked in protest as they slipped inside, darkness enfolding them like a cloak. Their footsteps echoed ominously in the dimly lit hallway as they made their way toward the records room. Ethan's palms were slick with sweat as they traversed the uncertainty. The station was quiet, but he could sense the undercurrents of tension simmering beneath the surface. Suddenly, a flicker of light cast shadows at the end of the hallway, making Ethan stop in his tracks. There's someone, he whispered, pressing against the wall. Jack stared at the paper, confused but too polite to refuse. He watched as the man stood, gave him one last smile, and walked out of the restaurant. Curiosity got the better of him, and he quickly unfolded the note. Inside was a check for $50,000. Beneath the staggering amount was a handwritten message, "Your kindness has inspired me. Use this to create the future you deserve. A grateful stranger." Jack's heart raced as he clutched the check, his hands trembling. He ran outside, scanning the street for any sign of the man, but he was gone. His mind swirled with questions. Who was he? Why would he give him such an unbelievable gift? And why did he seem so familiar? That night, as Jack sat in his tiny apartment, he couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious man. He wanted to return the check, it was far too much money for him to accept, but there was no contact information on the note, and he had no idea how to find him. Days turned into weeks, and Jack's life began to change. With the money, he paid off his debts and started saving for his dream of opening a small cafe where everyone, including the homeless, could find a warm meal and a welcoming smile. Yet he still wondered about the man who had given him the chance to turn his life around. Then one day, as he was walking home from the restaurant, a sleek black car pulled up beside him. The window rolled down, and there he was, the generous stranger from the restaurant. "I hoped I'd find you," he said with a grin. Jack stopped in his tracks, his heart pounding. "You again? Why did you give me that money? Who are you?" The man stepped out of the car, his expression serious but kind. "I owe you an explanation," he said. "My name is Andrew Hale. I'm the CEO of Hale Enterprises." Jack's jaw dropped. Hale Enterprises was one of the biggest companies in the country, and Andrew Hale was a well-known billionaire. "I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to see how you'd react," he continued. "I've spent years building wealth, but I've never seen anyone as selfless as you, helping that homeless boy. It wasn't just an act of kindness, it showed who you truly are." Jack was speechless, struggling to process everything. "But why would someone like you care about me? I'm just a waiter." Andrew smiled. "You're far more than that. You have a heart that money can't buy, and I believe the world needs more people like you." He handed Jack an envelope. "This is a deed to a small cafe downtown, it's yours now. Consider it an investment in someone who deserves it." Tears welled up in Jack's eyes. He tried to refuse, but Andrew insisted. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Keep being the person who inspired me. Keep helping others." From that day forward, Jack's life transformed. His cafe became a haven for those in need, just as he had always dreamed. And though he never fully understood why fate had brought Andrew Hale into his life, he knew one thing for certain. Kindness, no matter how small, could change the world. Jack couldn't believe the envelope in his hand was real. He stared at Andrew, heart racing, uncertain if this was a dream or some cruel trick. "Wait," Jack said, his voice barely above a whisper. "A cafe? Are you serious?" Andrew nodded, his eyes serious. I'm very serious. You have the heart for it, Jack. I've seen how you care for others. That cafe can change lives, starting with your own. But I can't just accept this, Jack argued, shaking his head. It's too much, and I don't understand why you're doing this. Because the world needs more people like you, Andrew replied, stepping closer. And I want to help fund something meaningful. I couldn't just watch you help that boy and not follow through. Jack glanced at the little cafe's address printed on the deed inside the envelope. The thought of running a place where anyone could feel welcomed made his heart soar. But doubt quickly crept in. What if I fail? Jack asked, looking down at the pavement. What if I can't make it work? Andrew put a hand on Jack's shoulder, grounding him. Failure is part of success, but you'll never know if you don't try. I believe in you. And even if you stumble, I'll be here to support you. Jack felt the weight of Andrew's words. He wanted to trust him, but trusting meant risking disappointment. Just then, a commotion erupted nearby, the sound of shouting. Jack and Andrew turned to see a crowd gathering around a street performance, but something felt off. The crowd was tense, as if something simmered beneath the surface. Stay here, Andrew said, releasing Jack's shoulder. He moved towards the gathering crowd, his billionaire demeanor lifting the air of chaos slightly. Jack hesitated, but curiosity pulled him closer. As he pushed through the throng, Jack's heart raced in time with the chaotic energy around him. He spotted a young man up on a makeshift stage, shouting furiously at the spectators. Jack couldn't make out the words, but he could see the anger etched on the guy's face. That's right. They think they can ignore us, the man yelled, raising a fist. Well, we're not going to stay silent anymore. Before Jack could process the situation, he felt a surge of fear. The boy he had helped just days before flashed in his mind. What if he was out there? Andrew, sensing the tension in the air, tried to step forward. Hey! He shouted, trying to calm the crowd. What's going on? The young man on stage turned toward Andrew, his eyes sharp. What do you know about struggle, rich man? You think money solves everything? You have no idea what it's like to live without. The crowd murmured in agreement, eyes darting between Andrew and the speaker. Jack could feel the tension building between the two, electricity in the air as the crowd leaned in, looking for a fight. Look, I'm not here to fight you, Andrew replied, holding his hands up. I'm just trying to understand what you need. We all deserve a voice. Deserve a voice, the young man spat back. People like you don't care about us. You just want to silence us. Jack felt a knot forming in his stomach, realizing that without knowing it, Andrew had placed himself in the center of something much more dangerous. He had hoped this would be an ordinary day of new beginnings, but it was quickly spiraling out of control. Before anybody could act, another figure broke through the crowd, a burly man in a leather jacket, glowering at the young speaker. You want a voice? He bellowed, stepping onto the stage. I'll give you something to shout about. Tension peaked as the burly man shoved the speaker aside, causing the young man to lose his balance and fall into the group below. Stop! Jack screamed, his instincts taking over. He pushed through the crowd, desperate to intercede before violence erupted. Andrew noticed Jack's frantic movements and joined him. We need to calm this down, now, he said, scanning the gathering storm of anger. Jack reached the young man and helped him up, feeling the weight of the moment crash over him. Hey, it's okay, he said, voice steady but urgent. Let's all just talk. No one needs to get hurt. The crowd paused, uncertainty washing over them, but the burly man was not ready to back down. He shoved Jack aside harder than intended, sending him stumbling back. You think you can play hero? He snarled, stepping menacingly forward. A collective gasp rolled through the crowd as Andrew once again stepped into the fray. Back off, he commanded, voice low and steady, asserting dominance. Who do you think you are? The burly man shot back, ready for a fight. What are you trying to prove? Andrew challenged, eyes narrowing. Shouting will change nothing. What are you really fighting for? As Jack got his footing back, he interjected, this isn't about fighting. We all have struggles, but this isn't the way to fix anything. The crowd was noticeably quiet now, eyes flicking between Jack and Andrew, waiting for someone to break the tension. Jack felt the whole world narrowing around him. Would they listen? Or was this about to explode? Suddenly, a woman from the crowd spoke up, he's right. We need help. Her voice was small but brave. Not more anger. The burly man hesitated, looking unsure for the first time. Help comes from standing your ground, he retorted, but there was a crack in his armor. Help comes from connecting, Jack said, voice stronger now, feeling a new surge of courage. And listening. Fighting each other won't solve our problems, it only divides us further. The crowd stirred, murmurs rising as Jack's words hung in the air, like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Eyes began to soften, and the young protester beside him nodded, gaining newfound strength from Jack's sincerity. We're asking for change, but that starts with us being united, he shouted, his voice echoing Jack's sentiment. Enough fighting. Let's build something together. The tension shifted, eyes now looking towards Andrew, who embraced the moment. If you want change, I'll help. Let's talk. Let's invest in the community, not just with money but with support and connection. The burly man, visibly deflated, took a step back and gestured toward the crowd. What do you say, people? Are we ready to listen? A slow ripple of agreement spread through the crowd, excitement mixing with disbelief. Jack caught Andrew's eye, a silent conversation exchanging between them. They had the chance to change something real, something tangible, but it depended on how they moved forward now. Jack felt a rush of adrenaline and purpose. Let's do this, not just talk, but act. Together, we can make a real difference. And in that moment, the air cracked with renewed energy, hope emerging from tension, a chance at unity rising from chaos. Jack realized that sometimes, beginnings come from the most unexpected places, and he was ready to fight for that chance. The cheers from the crowd echoed in Jack's ears, but beneath the surface, anxiety simmered. He quickly scanned the faces. Were they really ready for change? Had any of this made a difference? The young protester beside him raised his hands, rallying the crowd. If we want to be heard, we need to unite. We need a plan. He was passionate and fierce, drawing energy from both the anger and hope surging around them. Jack nodded, adrenaline coursing through him. Everyone, we need to hear your stories. He took a breath, his heart pounding. Let's organize a community meeting. If people come together, we can find solutions, not just for us, but for everyone here. Andrew stepped forward, his demeanor calm but commanding. I'll help sponsor the meeting, provide a venue, let's make a space for these discussions, he declared, and the crowd murmured with excitement. That's great, but what if others don't want to listen? The burly man snarled, skepticism harsh in his tone. What if they don't care about our problems? They will care if they see we're united. Jack shot back, channeling the fervor of the moment. We need to show them we're serious, but also willing to listen. Change starts with understanding. The crowd shifted, uncertainty lingering, but the energy vibrated with a newfound hope. Just as Jack felt the atmosphere brighten, a loud crash shattered the moment. A nearby storefront window shattered as something heavy crashed down from above. Take cover. Andrew shouted, pushing Jack back, his instincts kicking in. The crowd erupted in chaos, panic spreading like wildfire as the source of the sound. A gang of masked figures burst onto the stage and brandished bats. What the hell? Jack gasped, heart racing. The protesters scattered, but Jack rooted himself in place, adrenaline fueling his determination. Stay calm. We can't let them break us. We're not here to listen, the leader of the masked gang sneered, eyes glinting with menace, stepping toward Jack. You're making a lot of noise for nothing, and now we're going to teach you a lesson. Jack felt the weight of fear but pushed it aside. You don't have to do this. We're on the same side, we all want a better future. Better for whom? Just those in your fancy cafe? The leader spat back, brandishing the bat menacingly. You think you can change the world with your pretty words? A voice from the crowd rang out, deep and authoritative. Step back. No one needs to be hurt. The crowd parted as a police officer stepped forward, his uniform commanding respect. You'll regret giving in to chaos. This is a peaceful protest. Peaceful? The masked leader laughed derisively. Your kind only knows how to ignore us. Let's see how peaceful this gets. As tension thickened, Andrew took a bold step forward. You want to be heard? Then let's talk. You've got strength, we respect that. But you'll destroy your own cause if you act out in violence. Jack, sensing Andrew's strategy, nodded vigorously. We can work together. You've shown strength, now let's build something constructive. The masked leader hesitated, his eyes darting between Andrew and Jack. For a moment, uncertainty flickered across his face, and Jack seized the opportunity. We can contribute to a movement that matters. We can create real change together, not through fear, but through action. Join us. The crowd held its breath, caught in the tension of anticipation. Then, just as the masked leader seemed to consider this sudden shift, a siren wailed in the distance, growing closer. "Time's up," he growled, glancing back, frustration boiling in his gut. "You'll regret this." In a twisted moment of panic, he swung the bat at Jack, but Andrew was quicker. He lunged and managed to knock it aside, the bat clattering to the ground. "Enough!" Andrew shouted, voice unwavering. The police arrived, their lights illuminating the scene, creating a stark contrast against the growing shadows. The masked gang hesitated, nerves prickling in the face of authority. The officer stepped forward again, hand resting on his holster. "You need to back down now, this is your only warning." Tension hung thick in the air, the crowd's fear palpable, but Jack knew they reached a turning point. "There's still a chance to walk away from this. It's not too late to change your path," he shouted, desperation mingled with determination. The masked leader gritted his teeth, and for a brief moment, it seemed like he might charge. Instead, with a furious glare, he threw down a handmade flyer, one that read, "Demand change," and turned away. "You're wasting your breath," he spat, retreating into the chaos. A ripple of shock went through the crowd, disbelief marking their faces. As Jack caught his breath, his heart still racing, he turned to Andrew. "Did we really just?" "Yes," Andrew replied, chest heaving but a spark of pride lighting his eyes. "We stood our ground." The police officers began dispersing the crowd, ensuring everyone was safe. Tensions had subsided, uncertainty remained, but together they had confronted chaos. In the days that followed, the community meeting took shape, drawing people from every corner of the neighborhood. Jack stood at the front, inspired faces looking back at him, feeling a power surge through him. But as the meeting progressed, a hand shot up in the crowd. "What will happen if they come back?" Jack's heart dropped. "We'll be ready," he said, confidence spilling into his voice. "But this time, we have a plan. Let's channel our voices into action. We have the strength and the opportunity now. Together." The crowd erupted into applause, growing louder and more resolute. Faces filled with hope, determination, and a commitment to action. Jack's call to unity had sparked a fire. Weeks passed, and the movement gained traction. Banners held high, community projects blossomed, and conversations shifted from despair to collective action. Jack was at the heart of it, his cafe now a hub for discussion, hope, and progress. And then, one evening, as the sun dipped low and golden light poured into the cafe, Andrew entered. "I've been thinking," he began, a smile tugging at his lips. "Yes?" "I've decided to invest more resources into this community, not just financially, but with our entire company backing social change initiatives. You've shown we can make a difference if we act for the greater good." Before Jack could respond, the door swung open again, and the young man who had once yelled for justice stepped in. This time, his expression was different, determined, hopeful. "Jack, I have a proposal. Let's expand the reach of our message, work together to launch a community initiative, one that truly amplifies our voices." Jack felt a rush of energy, adrenaline coursing through him once more. "Let's do it," he exclaimed, ideas already spinning in his mind. And just as Jack spoke those words, an unexpected figure appeared at the door, none other than the masked leader from that fateful night. The crowd fell silent in shock as his eyes, fierce but softened now, zeroed in on Jack. "Listen," he said, hesitating for a moment but finding courage in vulnerability. "I was wrong before. I didn't see it then, but anger won't change anything. I want to be part of this." Gasps rippled through the crowd, disbelief painted on their faces. Jack felt his heart race once more, not with fear but with the potential for something magnificent. "Then welcome," Jack said, stepping forward. "Let's use our stories to create real change together." And in that moment, the cafe transformed into more than just a place, it became a symbol, a beacon of hope where all voices mattered. They stood united, channeling their past struggles into a collective force for the future, and what started with simple compassion became an unstoppable movement that would reshape their community forever. As laughter erupted, hearts opened, and minds united, Jack realized a profound truth. Sometimes, from the depths of chaos, the strongest foundations are built, and he had become part of something unforgettable, a legacy forged from action, understanding, and a relentless commitment to each other. The world was now theirs to change.